Remember when the Caps only had two right-handed defensemen on the roster, and John Carlson and Nick Jensen? So we had to worry about who would be playing on their offhand. Would it be Jonas Siegenthaler or Dmitry Orlov or Michael Kempny, even Brendan Dillon? And how would that affect the entire defense? That's not an issue anymore, because in the last week, since free agency opened, the Caps have signed 3 right-handed defensemen, one after another, 2 who have history against the Caps in Justin Schultz from Pittsburgh, Trevor Van Riemsdyk from the Carolina Hurricanes, and then they also brought in Paul LaDue from the LA Kings. Now, that's a lot of NHL-ready defensemen, and we haven't even mentioned Martin Fehervary. How is it all going to work? What's up, Caps fans? Welcome back to my YouTube page, which will support my podcast, the Capitol Building Podcast with Rob Carlin. Still waiting on approval from Apple. It is a process, and I am going to trust the process. So hopefully an announcement will be coming soon, and you'll be able to download that and listen wherever and however you get your podcast. So be on the lookout for that. But this has been interesting. The Caps made their big splash on the opening day of free agency when they brought in Henrik Lundqvist, and then they have just sort of systematically gone about fixing the defense, although I don't know if any of these guys is the defense fix guy. Justin Schultz is certainly not known for his defense. He's more of an offensive guy. Although I think the coach is going to take care of that, because for whatever reason, things went south in late December defensively, and it never got any better. So when we say there was bad defense on any given night in any given game, it was any number of things that happened, and it was team defense. That was the issue. There were so many breakdowns that would lead to 3 breakaways on whatever goalie was in the game that were being hung out to dry. Multiple breakdowns up and down the ice by the forwards, by the defense. It was always team defense, not necessarily any individual player who was part of the 6-man defense crew on any given night. So I think the Peter Laviolette system should at least address a lot of that, because Peter Laviolette is certainly known for a defense-first coach. The Justin Schultz signing is very interesting because he is an offensive guy. He comes with the ability to quarterback a power play. Not that they need that because they have John Carlson, but they certainly have needed that on a second power play unit. They now have that, and should an injury happen to John Carlson, or there's an ineffective run with the power play, which we saw last year, there's another option that is a known quantity in the NHL in Justin Schultz, and I think that'll help him. It'll be interesting how he fits in and what the defense pairs are going to be. This whole thing defensively is the pairings. I don't know who's going to be on the roster. It feels like there's got to be a move coming, right? Because they have like 8 NHL guys now. However you pair it, and let's just say it's Carlson and Dillon is your first pair, Orlov and Schultz is your second pair, Siegenthaler, provided this deal gets done, which we all anticipate it will, with just over $1 million probably, with Jensen or Trevor Van Riemsdyk as the right-handed third pair defenseman. So there's 7. Then you throw in the LaDue guy from LA and Martin Fehervary, and all of a sudden you're looking at a lot of different options. So it feels like there's another corresponding move that's going to have to happen. But as for Schultz coming in, I like it. I don't know that I love it. Hopefully he's the guy from 2016 in Pittsburgh when he was really good. And most of that was offensive, but he was really good on Pittsburgh's first of back-to-back Stanley Cups. If he's that guy, not the guy who's been battling injuries the last couple of years, that could potentially be a very good move. I will say this, Schultz, like every other free agent or anyone who has been traded to the Caps over the last decade and a half, is excited to be a teammate with Alex Ovechkin, and specifically for a guy who plays defense, he's looking way more forward to feeding Ovi in his office rather than sacrificing his body to try and defend Ovi in his office.
Yeah, obviously the power play is one of my strengths, so hopefully I get an opportunity on there, whether it's first or second unit. And like you said, it'll definitely be nice getting to feed him the one timers as opposed to standing there and taking them. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to it.
As I said earlier, Schultz does have the familiarity with the Caps because of all the playoff battles, and every regular season game between the Caps and the Penguins is a big deal. So he has sort of a knowledge, and not just a knowledge of the Caps, but in a large part, a knowledge of understanding what it's like to be a part of a franchise that's built to win and built to win now. Because, you could say that Nick Jensen came from playing, heavy minutes, top pair, top 4 minutes in Detroit, where the Red Wings were terrible, and that just didn't translate when he was traded to the Caps in the middle of a playoff push, and they were the defending Stanley Cup champs, and it didn't fit. He wasn't accustomed to playing big minutes and big important minutes. Justin Schultz has done that, and also knows what Tom Wilson is, what Alex Ovechkin is, what Nicholas Backstrom is, Carlson, all those guys. He understands, look, hopefully the fans are back at some point. We don't know when yet, but he understands what the building is like at Capital One Arena on the night of a big game, and going into a visiting barn with a big, huge target on your back, because that's what he came from in Pittsburgh. Maybe even more so than the Caps, because of multiple Stanley Cup titles there, and Sidney Crosby and Evgeny Malkin. So he gets it. And I think he's looking forward to now, much like Brooks Orpik did and Matt Niskanen did, and even Carl Hagelin, who hasn't had the success with the Caps yet that he did with the Penguins. But, understanding what the room is, understanding what the culture is, and understanding why the Caps win, and it's because of all those things I was just talking about. So he's heard from Carl Hagelin, and he knows about the Caps, and he's looking forward to being a part of this franchise now from the inside, instead of being the guy who comes trying to ruin what the Caps are building.
Hags, he reached out right away to me, actually, congratulated me. And then I know Brennan Dillon a little bit he's pretty close to me in Vancouver. We played a World Championships together in Sweden. But yeah, they both said just a great group of guys, great team, and they're excited for me, and they know I'll love it there and fit right in. Very similar teams, obviously, have a good idea. I played against the Caps a lot the last few years being in Pitt, and I'll know a little more when I get there and start playing with the guys, but Wash is very tough, and they play that hard game, which always playing against them, it was tough going into Washington and playing them, but it's exciting to be on their side now, and I couldn't be more excited to be a Capital.
The next signing was interesting too, in Trevor Van Riemsdyk, because here's a guy who, it's a great story. He was undrafted. He really almost had no business making it to the NHL. But he did, and he's become a very reliable defenseman in Carolina. And Carolina, has been a huge thorn, obviously the playoff loss, but a huge thorn on the side of the Caps. And I always like Van Riemsdyk. Again, I don't know if he's the answer defensively. He's probably a third pair guy. And right now, we don't know how it's going to shake out. It feels like, again, there's going to be a move coming. It almost has to be. But you plug Trevor Van Riemsdyk in, and you feel very comfortable in a guy who, again, has played in big moments. He's played on big stages. He's played against the Caps. And again, just like Justin Schultz and everyone else who is signed here, he is happy to be with Ovechkin instead of against Ovechkin.
Yeah, that's obviously really cool to be able to share the ice with a guy like that, who kind of get to watch him in practice a little bit and see what he does there. But obviously, to see that day in and day out, obviously on the ice, he's too much to handle sometimes, and he's all over, and he's really hard to play against. So excited to not have to step in front of any of his one-timers this year.
I mentioned the odd road that he took too, not being drafted, going to college late. So you really you question, how did he do it? How did he go from undrafted to proven NHL guy? And the bloodlines are there, right? I mean, his brother is clearly a guy who's been a star in this league, and James Van Riemsdyk. And Trevor was smart enough to understand, I've got a brother on the inside. I'm going to tap into that and learn and absorb as much as I can of the entire process of becoming a pro and then use what I've learned to my advantage. He did that, and the results have shown and proven that it was a smart thing to do.
Yeah, I think I was extremely fortunate to have a brother that had been through it. And if you know my brother at all, you know he's always looking for those little details and edges and finding out who's working with who, what works for different players. And so luckily he did all the deep diving, and I kind of just got to follow along on what he found out. So I think that was a huge part of it. And yeah, I was kind of a late bloomer. I mean, I don't think I was really even close to getting drafted. Didn't go to college till I was 20, and obviously college went well, and I was lucky enough to sign from there. And yeah, it's obviously just making the most of your opportunities, and it's worked out so far. I've been extremely lucky to be with some great organizations, and looking forward to my next chapter here in Washington.
So another interesting piece on the defense, Paul LaDue. Look, this is a guy he's played some games, he's had some stretches. I don't see how he factors into the NHL roster unless there's another move to be made. But he's a guy who's played in the NHL, who's looking for an opportunity, and he's hoping that that opportunity comes with the Caps. And keep in mind, they've done this in the past, right? They've gone and found reclamation projects. I don't know if you're going to get what they got from Brett Connolly or Devontae Smith-Pelly in the Cup run year, but maybe this is a guy that their scouts liked, or possibly that Peter Laviolette likes, and under this system, maybe he flourishes. Maybe he doesn't. Maybe he's just a depth guy. Maybe he ends up playing in the AHL, but he is a guy who's hoping that being a part of this winning culture and this winning organization will help his development as a pro.
It's a great opportunity for me to play with this core group of guys. Obviously, I've been following along, and I see the success that they've had over the years. And I just like the style of play. They're a very explosive team. They're fast. They play hard. And I think that fits to my game. And I hope I can come in and help the team win.
So those are the moves for the Caps defensively. A lot of them. And we'll see where this is all going. We talked to a couple of people. Again, it feels like there has to be more to this. And we haven't heard from the Jonas Siegenthaler signing, although Brian McClellan did say on the day that they signed Henrik Lundqvist that they were progressing towards it. So I would imagine there'll be an announcement coming in that soon. But, look, they have bodies now. They have options now, and they have guys who've won and understand what winning is and what winning pressure is and can play under that pressure. So they will continue to grow. I don't know if you guys heard Nate Schmidt also was traded from Vegas. What a great dude. I mean, his whole press conference was tremendous in Vancouver, because I've always said, if it's not Tress Way, the punter for the Washington football team, then Nate Schmidt's the happiest guy alive. It's one of those two, the two best personalities of any professional athletes I've ever come across. They enjoy the whole part of being pro athletes, and they enjoy dealing with the media. And Nate Schmidt was great. And you feel for him because, he was signed by George McPhee to be part of something new, exciting, and different. And they did something that had never been done before in going to the Cup final in their first year. And he was a core guy on a winning team that was a Stanley Cup contender. His career took off when he went to Vegas. He was good here, but you could tell he was never going to get to that level, at least not with how the Caps were built pre-Cup. I mean, he just didn't, wasn't a place for him in the top four consistently. Allen always used to say, had he been paired with Kevin Shattenkirk the year before, that would have been a great pairing. It didn't happen. But man, did he take off in Vegas. And now he's with Vancouver with his buddy Braden Holtby and Jay Beagle there. They're sort of Caps Pacific Northwest. But, you feel for him, because when you go someplace and you become a leader in that place and in that community, it sucks to leave. It sucks to be traded. And he loves Vancouver. He said it's his favorite stop. I guess they have a big Christmas ornament sale or Christmas stuff sale in Vancouver that he said it's his favorite thing, and he gets his mom Christmas ornaments every year because only Nate Schmidt could throw that in an NHL trade press conference. But it was tough for him. It was tough for him to say goodbye to Vegas, even though he's going to a really exciting team in Vancouver.
I mean, going back to, what we went through as a group and what the city went through on October 1st, and just being a part of, you back that up 3 weeks into just getting there and seeing the city. And, Vegas, it gets a different rap. You think, and me as a guy that visited there when I was in college or visited there before I played there, you think, oh man, this is great, little strip in the middle. It's awesome. What a time. But then you get outside the city and realize what a phenomenal place and what a phenomenal group of people. And, for a guy like me, that character, that type of, that welcoming, that warm, that people feel towards the guys, and how we were treated and how we tried, the community was so embracing. That's something that, is something I'll never forget. And it's something that we healed together, because I was down on the strip that night. It was crazy. Something you'll never forget. It wasn't that close to what had happened, but it's still, you can remember things like it was yesterday. And I felt you forever feel a bond in that moment, and the moment within the next couple of days, and for the next 2 years, that you're a part of a fabric of the community. And I think that's what you remember most. I loved playing with the guys. Obviously miss them. It was a great group. Just I'm excited to battle against them now. I can't wait to use some of the. I can't wait to get Marchie a few times, and so amongst others. But it was, like I said, it was emotional. Last night, again, you put your heart and soul out into it, and with the group, and see how things turn out. And it never turned out, and this is the I guess the aftermath of what you think back about your time, with Vegas.
He's the best, man. He is such a good dude, and I hope he has continued success in Vancouver. I don't see why he wouldn't. Seems like a perfect fit for him there, and he's still a huge fan favorite with Caps fans, and deservedly so, because that is a good dude. That's a really good dude, and congratulations to him on getting this next phase in his career as he goes to Vancouver, which he even said in the press conference there was a lot of buzz about Vancouver in the bubble. The NHL people know how exciting that franchise is, and Nate Schmidt seems like he is going to fit in perfectly. So now we just wait and see if there's another shoe to drop. What's next for the Caps, because they don't have a lot of salary cap room, and they've got a ton of defensemen now. So we'll see what happens. Again, the announcement hopefully is coming soon of an actual podcast that you can download and take with you wherever you go. But please subscribe here to the Capitals Talk podcast on YouTube, my YouTube page. That'll help get the message out. Plus, you can see the video if, put it on. You can stream YouTube right to your big 70-inch TV in your house. I don't know what I would look like in 70 inches in your house, but you can watch it right here on YouTube. So please subscribe and tell others about it, and check it out and look for that announcement coming soon. We will talk again soon. Let's go, Caps.